Let me be straight with you right now. Lewis Hamilton, 7-time world champion, is getting beaten by a 19-year-old rookie. Not once, not twice. In every single Grand Prix this season, a teenager has crossed the finish line ahead of him. Ferrari launched the SF26 in January and called it their best shot at Mercedes in 10 years. 3 races later, they're sitting 45 points behind Mercedes in the constructors' standings, with a car that is losing straight-line speed every time it hits a long, flat-out section. Something has to change. And what Ferrari is doing about it right now, quietly, away from the cameras, is the most important story in Formula One this week. Now here is where it gets interesting. What Ferrari is doing at Monza on April 22nd is not a test. At least that is not what the rulebook calls it. Under FIA regulations, a filming day means Ferrari can run exactly 200 kilometers on Pirelli show tires with the standard ECU fitted. No setup changes, no tire pressure tuning, no compound swaps. On paper, it looks like Ferrari just showed up to shoot some slow-motion footage. But what the rules do allow is something far more valuable: a match. A direct comparison between what the simulator back in Maranello says the car should do and what the car actually does on real tarmac. 3 years running, Ferrari built cars that looked fast in the factory and arrived slow at the first race. The 2022 car that destroyed its tires. The 2023 car that pushed wide through every long corner. The 2024 car that Leclerc himself called unpredictable in public. Every one of those failures happened because the simulator did not match the track. So these 200 kilometers at Monza are not about lap times, they are about trust. Ferrari needs to know that what they believe about this new package is actually true before it goes anywhere near Hamilton's car in Miami. And the centerpiece of that package is a brand new floor. But the story of where this floor came from tells you everything about how chaotic this season has been. It was originally built for the Bahrain Grand Prix, a race that no longer exists. Bahrain was pulled off the 2026 calendar on April 12th because of the regional conflict in the Middle East. Saudi Arabia followed a week later, 2 races gone overnight. That left Ferrari with a 5-week gap between Japan and Miami, and 2 completely separate upgrade packages. One planned for Bahrain called Sakhia, and one planned for Saudi Arabia called Jeddah, with nowhere to go. So Ferrari merged them into one single bundle. The new floor carries all the aero work that was supposed to debut in the Middle East, and it is built to fix something very specific. Miami has a section called the Stadium section, running from turn 11 through to turn 16. It is one of the lowest grip parts of the circuit. Cars that slide even slightly through there start destroying their tires, and once your tires are gone in Miami, your race is gone with them. More grip means less sliding. Less sliding means fresher tires. And fresher tires means Ferrari can actually fight at the end of the race instead of just surviving it. But the floor is only part of the story, because sitting right next to it in the package is something that has quietly become the most talked about piece of engineering in the paddock. Ferrari calls it the Macarena wing. The name comes from team principal Fred Vasseur himself. The rear wing's top flaps rotate through about a 270-degree flip when they open, and when Vasseur first saw it moving, it reminded him of the 90s dance. But do not let the fun nickname fool you. Under FIA rules, the entire movement has to complete within 400 milliseconds, and when it opens, it produces a full aerodynamic stall instead of the normal DRS flap opening. The expected gain is around 8 kilometers per hour in top speed. On Miami's back straight, where speeds have gone past 340 kilometers per hour, that is real-time gained on Mercedes every single lap. The first version of this wing debuted in Shanghai Free Practice 1 and was immediately pulled. Ferrari's engineers found a stability problem under combined braking and steering load, exactly the kind of stress Miami's Stadium section creates. The new version is lighter and has changes to fix that problem. And here is the detail most people are missing. FIA rules say a filming day can only run parts that have already appeared in at least one real session. Because that first wing ran in Shanghai FP1, the updated version counts as an upgrade rather than a new part. Without that Shanghai appearance, this wing could not be tested at Monza at all. That one brief run in China, a run that ended with the wing being pulled off the car, is the entire reason Ferrari has the legal window to test it this week. Now there is a third piece to this package that almost nobody is talking about, and it might be the most important one of all. Because all the aero upgrades in the world mean nothing if the car is running out of energy before it can use them. This is the problem Hamilton has been saying out loud since China. His words after Japan were blunt. The weekend was pretty terrible. He could not stay ahead of people on pace, which he called confusing. And after his China podium, his first for Ferrari, he said Mercedes have a bit more deployment and less drop-off at the end of the straights. He was not being diplomatic. He was telling Ferrari exactly what was broken. In 2026, the MG UK output has been raised to 350 kilowatts, with up to 9 megajoules of energy recovery per lap. The electric side of these cars is more powerful than ever, which means the software controlling when to deploy and when to save is now more critical than any aero part. A wrong software call costs more lap time than any floor upgrade. What Ferrari's reworked software suite is trying to do is not close the hardware gap to Mercedes, estimated at around 20 brake horsepower, but get the maximum out of the electric system Ferrari already has. Stop the drop-off, stop the bleeding on the straights. And Monza, with its 6 heavy braking zones feeding 6 long, flat-out sections, is the single best place on the 2026 calendar to find out whether that software actually delivers. While all of this engineering is happening, there is a human story running alongside it that Ferrari is watching just as closely. 4 qualifying sessions into 2026, and the score between Hamilton and Leclerc is tied, 2 sessions each. Hamilton is running an average of just 0.017 seconds ahead on Saturday pace. That is a dead heat. On Sundays, the picture's different. Leclerc leads the race score 3-1 and sits third in the Drivers' Championship with 49 points. Hamilton is fourth with 41. But the qualifying tie tells Ferrari something important. Hamilton is finding his feet. Vasseur has admitted publicly that he underestimated how hard the adjustment would be. Not just a new car, but new people, new language, new processes. And whichever driver gets more out of the new package in Miami shifts the internal momentum heading into the European races that follow. Which brings us to the decision that nobody has made yet. As of right now, Ferrari do not know what car Hamilton and Leclerc will be driving in Miami. Miami is a sprint weekend. Free practice 1 runs for 60 minutes, and sprint qualifying follows immediately after. There is no time to find a problem, fix it, and put the car back together. If the Macarena wing shows any instability, the classic wing from the first 3 rounds goes straight back on. So here are the 2 scenarios. If the Monza data comes back clean, Ferrari has a genuine choice. Take the risk and run the Macarena in Miami for that top speed gain, or wait for Canada where the normal format allows proper checks. If the data shows even a small problem, the decision makes itself and the Macarena waits. Ferrari is deliberately keeping both options open. And Monza was chosen for this check not just for its proximity to Maranello, but because its energy demands mirror Miami perfectly. 6 braking zones into 6 throttle sections. The main straight and the Curva Grande stretch give the cleanest read on the calendar for how the battery behaves. Miami's back straight from turn 8 to turn 11, where Kevin Magnussen's 2022 peak of 345.6 kilometers per hour still stands as the marker. Asks exactly the same questions of the software. Every call on when to deploy or save energy shows up directly in the turn 11 braking zone. Monza is the only place Ferrari can test that full cycle cleanly before Florida. So here is what to watch for. If Ferrari runs the full 200 kilometers and both drivers finish their planned turns without issue, the test was clean. If the session ends early or one driver runs far fewer laps than planned, something went wrong. Watch the filming day photos Ferrari releases Wednesday evening. The shape of the rear wing in those images will tell you whether the Macarena is heading to Miami or not. And watch the freight list. The parts loaded onto Ferrari's trucks within 72 hours of the Monza test are the parts that passed. By Friday afternoon, that list tells the whole story before Ferrari says a single word publicly. After 3 races, Mercedes leads with 135 points. Ferrari is second on 90. McLaren third on 46. The 45-point gap is real and growing. But if this package works, if the floor delivers grip, if the wing holds together, if the software stops the bleeding, the European season becomes a title fight. If it does not, Ferrari waits for Barcelona and the engine upgrade that is expected to land there, assuming the FIA confirms Ferrari qualifies for the catch-up rule. That is 50 more days of Mercedes pulling away. 200 kilometers on show tires at Monza. That is what Hamilton's Miami car comes down to. Not a filming day. A fork in the road for Ferrari's entire season. The data goes back to Maranello the same night. By Thursday, Ferrari has a call. By Friday, the freight list has the answer. And by May 1st, the cars are on the ground in Florida. Subscribe if you want the full Miami package breakdown the moment it hits the track. This story is just getting started.